If you're in the dating scene, I want to give you a tip for weeding out a group of people who are not capable of having a functional, intimate partnership with you. This is a quality that would cause me to hit the big red eject button on my ejection seat the moment I saw it. And let's keep in mind that it's nobody's fault that they are this way, but it's going to cause problems for you if you're in a relationship with someone like that. The thing to look for is, can they say the word no to you? Can they tell you no? Do you see them being capable of telling other people no? If they're not able to do that, if they're stuck on people-pleasing mode and, well, what restaurant do you want to eat at and what do you want to do and forget about me, that's not good. That's really, really not good. It might seem like it keeps harmony in the relationship in the beginning, but trust me, there is a dark side to this, and that will come out. Anyone who can't say no to us is just not ready for a relationship. Being unable to say no is not being nice, it's not sweet, it's not cute, it's completely dysfunctional. And the other side of that same coin is going to be a sense of victimhood identity. And that identity will come out, usually at some further point down the road. And when it comes out, it's going to be your fault. Whatever is happening, whatever is displeasing that person is going to be your fault or someone else's fault. And that's not a fun ride to be on, that victimhood identity ride. Have you ever been around someone who couldn't say no to their kids, for example? They act subtly passive and helpless as their kids run amok, disturbing everyone while the parent smiles sheepishly at everyone else as if to say, "Sorry, I'm utterly powerless here. My child is in charge." When my kids were younger and I was around younger kids and their parents a lot at birthday parties, at the park, I saw this constantly. And it's really bad for the kids. Not saying no to our kids, it's very easy to see how much that messes them up. Google AI, when I Google this, what happens to children if we never say no to them? It's a really interesting response you get. Google AI says, if children are never told no or given clear boundaries, they may develop a sense of entitlement, struggle with self-control, have difficulty managing frustration, lack social skills, and may not learn to navigate the consequences of their own actions, potentially leading to challenges in adulthood as they may expect to always get their way and struggle to adapt to situations where they need to follow rules or compromise with others. So we can see how much harm is caused when we, as a parent, don't ever say no to our child. But children are just little human beings. Not saying no in any relationship is harmful. It's just really obvious in a child relationship, but it harms all of our relationships. In fact, it even harms our relationships with animals, like dogs. Have you ever seen grown-ups who are afraid to say no to their pet dog? Afraid to put any boundaries on their dog's behavior? They act sort of helpless and passive while their dog jumps up on a stranger over and over, or growls and barks at them in a ferocious way, scaring the person. I remember being around a client's dog once upon a time. In fact, this has happened more than once, where the dog kept coming up to me and ramming its snout right into my crotch. Like, it's shocking when you're trying to talk to someone you're just meeting and there's something kind of like punching you in the crotch with its snout. I had a client explain, he's just trying to assert dominance over you. And I was thinking, I didn't say this because I was being passive in that moment, but I was thinking, well, how about you tell it to stop? You know, this is my crotch, man. Why don't you tell your dog to stop? Why don't you grab its collar and put it in a different room? But so many pet owners don't do that. They kind of act like, oh, sorry, this is happening to you, but again, I'm sort of just helpless. My dog is in charge of me. I'm not in charge of my dog. This is the kind of thing that happens when we've lost our no. And like I said, I lost my no in that minute. Because, in fact, I lost my no a lot when I was in sales and I was working with clients because I was afraid to say no, afraid to calmly and politely show a boundary. There's always a place for us to calmly and politely insert a boundary. If we can't do that without upsetting someone, then that person is not in a healthy relationship with us. They're not seeing us as a worthy individual, and them being upset is unjustified, and it's revealing that they don't have a healthy perspective on us, and that they're not a person that we should be handing our power over to. With pet owners, they sometimes ignore what's happening, smile sheepishly, make weak protests to the animal, which the animal ignores because there's no tone of authority in the owner's voice. And the dog can hear that, and so can we, right? We can hear it when someone's kind of saying, stop, dogs, please stop. You know, there's just no, it's like, no, stop it. There's a difference in tone, right? One of them, the dog, kind of like, okay, well, maybe let me take that seriously. We can hear that tone. And back many years ago, I was doing a lot of work in groups, and we would do work with women, especially women. Men sometimes have this issue also, but women especially are trained to lose their no. And so we would do this exercise with women. This was a personal growth setting where the woman who wanted to work on this would stand up in front of the group, and there'd be a facilitator, and she would push against this facilitator's hands while saying no as assertively and as dominantly and as powerfully as she could say the word no. And that's all the exercise was, just encouraging that woman to keep trying, because a lot of times, you know, the women who wanted to work on this were women who had really lost touch with their no. And it was really scary for them to say no. And it's hard for a man oftentimes to relate how scary that is. But when you've been shamed and dominated by bigger people, especially in childhood is when this usually gets set in. When you feel like there's bigger, more powerful people around you, and they are taking your voice away, taking your no away by overriding you, overruling you, by dominating you into submission, often with big angry face and voice. And you lose touch. You learn to that it's scary to say no to people. It's scary to displease people. We're worried that we're going to lose their love, and then we will be expelled from the herd and die a lonely death over in a field somewhere, neglected and alone. I mean, that's the imagery. That's the deeper fear. People won't love us anymore if we're not pleasing them. And, you know, guys can have this too, but it's especially something that women get trained with by society. Men get hit with other things. We get hit with kind of the opposite. We get hit with being afraid to open up and say yes, and to express our deeper feelings, and to show and to drop our guard, to show our vulnerability. That's the kind of stuff that can make a guy quake in his boots. But with women, it's almost, and this is a generalization, it's often the opposite. And so in that course, in that personal growth workshop, we would have women stepping up and pushing and no as best they could. And they would often, it was often very hard for them to find that tone. And it would either come out really aggressively, and that's a good step forward, but then you got to get into the deeper confidence where you don't even need to be aggressive. You can just say no. It's not an attack on the other person. It's just me saying no for me, because that's where my boundary is. Not about you being bad or wrong. And then you can even go to another step forward where there's, this is very rare. It's the loving no, the gentle no. It's like, no thanks. No, I get it, that might hurt when I say no to you right now, but that's where I'm at, no. And I'm still in connection with you. Maybe not saying all this, but this is what you're communicating with your body language and your tone of voice. You're communicating, I'm saying no to you, but I'm still in connection with you. I'm still going to be right here. And I'm even going to hold a little bit of space if my no upsets you, if it's not what you wanted, if it makes you collapse and feel all ashamed and rejected. That's okay, because I'm not rejecting you. I'm going to be just right here. I'm just looking at you. I'm staying connected with you. And I'm saying no, because that's what's true for me to say, is just a no, a gentle, loving no. So that's like mastery no. And of course, it's not always appropriate if someone's attacking you. Probably the gentle no is not what you need in that moment. But getting familiar with no, sort of like an Eskimo is familiar with all the different words, all the different forms of snow and ice. It's a really good thing, and it's a thing that is neglected in our society, and it breaks it. I know this sounds crazy, but it breaks relationships. You can't have a relationship if there is not free access to our no and to our yes. That's what all of life is no's and yeses. It's sort of like in computing, zeros and ones. Life is a series of no's and yeses, right? Especially women lose touch with their no, but it can happen to men too. I've been in that situation where it was hard for me to say no. It was terrifying, in fact. Had a really scary boss one time, massive dude. Looked like he could have eaten me for lunch. Super dominating personality, carried a huge knife and would whip it out and threaten you with it. I mean, it sounds like a cartoon I'm talking about here, but it's real. I had a real boss like that. He once tried to pick me up and throw me overboard the boat that we were building that was on the water. He was drunk every afternoon, called me stupid about 12 times a day. The guy terrified me. I was a young man and didn't have a lot of work experience, and I basically had the boss from hell, and he was terrifying. And for many months, I tried everything to work with him, and I finally realized there's no way. I mean, I tried even just being submissive to him, but even that didn't please him. He still would come up and shove me out of the way and tell me I had done it wrong and call me stupid, and I had done it exactly like he told me to. I was like terrified not to do it exactly like he told me to. So of course I did it exactly like he told me to. And I had to find my no with this guy. Bob is his name. He passed away in 2017. I just recently found out. I had to find my no, and it was terrifying. I had to dare myself. I had to almost through some kind of weird yoga move, I had to kick my own ass to push myself to start saying no to this guy. And it culminated with me giving him a really big no. Like an all the way no. Like, this is just not acceptable and you don't get to talk to me that way. And that was pivotal for me because, well, I survived. And it taught me that maybe it's not quite as dangerous to say no as I'm thinking. And it actually got easier and easier and easier. And it took time. Often I would build up a big charge, and then I burst out with a no that scorched the earth around me. But I still learning, to bring that no out in a relaxed way, with courage and with love, So I relate to how scary it can feel to say no. But especially in an intimate partnership, we have to be able to do that. We have to keep daring ourselves to take another little step. Maybe the step is only an inch, and we inch our way forward. And if we have a loving partner, we can say, you know what? Just out ourselves right in the beginning. I feel like a lot of times I don't tell you what I really think and what I really feel because I'm worried it's going to upset you. That, it's another way of saying no. Telling someone how we really feel is another way of saying no. If it might upset them, if it's not giving them what they want, it's another type of no. So we can tell our loving partner, I feel like I hold back and I'm trying to please you, and I'm afraid that you won't love me anymore. And I don't need your reassurance that you will love me. What I need is to dare myself to come out of the closet, come out of the no closet, to bring my no out of the closet and to say my truth to you. And of course, we have to be willing to listen to their truth too. It's a two-way street. It's not like, yes, I must learn how to dominate my partner. That seems to be what some versions of this look like out there, that instead of being weak and passive and submissive, we need to start dominating everybody. That's just the flip side of that same coin, going from oppressed to oppressor. That's not healing, and that's not empowerment. That's just flipping the oppression script, and that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to find our genuine power, and our genuine power is always connected to the heart. It always has some love mixed into it, some connection mixed into it. True power is connected, and even to our adversary, we're connected to them too. And if we've lost that connection, then we are no longer in our power. So we have to dare ourselves to inch our way into a no. Might come out badly at first, probably will. And we can ask our partner for some grace on that. But we can let them know, hey, I'm working on this. I want to start working on this. And I know it might feel weird and awkward, but I would love your support. But whether you give it to me or not, I have to do this for me. I have to become whole for me, and no one else can do it for me. It's not your job, partner, to make it feel safe enough for me to do it, because it's never going to feel safe enough. If we've lost touch with our no, it's not other people's jobs to pad the room with goose down pillows and then tippy-toe around us so that we might one day finally feel safe enough to say no. It's not their job. It's our job to find our courage. And if they can support us, that's awesome. That's like icing on the cake. But it's never their job to do that. If we make it their job, that's disempowerment. That's putting our power over there onto them, saying, hey, you have to make me feel safe. You have to do backflips and, whatever else. Twist yourself into a pretzel so that nothing ever intimidates me. That all of my repressed fear from childhood never gets triggered by anything. That's not support. If they did that for us, that would not be them supporting us. That's called enabling. That's not true love, true allyship, true support. True support can be tough sometimes. It can be challenging sometimes. It dares us to be bigger. And it's also can be really gentle and supportive, so there's that too. Traditionally, men have carried the no for society, and women have carried the yes. Women have been the ones pleasing others, and men have been the ones setting boundaries. Going back thousands of years, tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands of years, it was the guys who played the warrior role. And there's no greater no expression of no than a warrior. A warrior is no personified, embodied. They are a living no. The sword they carry, the shield, the armor, or the guns nowadays, or the button where they press and they shoot a missile. This is all no. Traditionally, men have carried that for society, the benefits and the burden. And women have carried the yes and the benefits and the burden. And there might be it looks like there's some biology behind that. But society then takes that biology and exaggerates it, overemphasizes it, rigidly enforces it on everyone, regardless of what each individual, where they might land. Because we have women who are very warrior-like, and we have men who are very gentle and people-pleasing, and that's just who they are, and that's okay. But when society starts enforcing these roles rigidly, instead of seeing each person for who they are, and they enforce those roles using shame and intimidation and ridicule and threats of violence even, that's when, and another one is threats of expulsion, threats of being rejected. That's when these roles become oppressive and hurtful to us, and through hundreds or thousands of incidents as we grow up, we get these little messages of we have to give this up or give that up. Later in life, when we try to recover it, it's terrifying because we've lost touch with our no, or sometimes with our yes, through the death of a million cuts, a million little incidents that we don't even remember anymore. But the fear of those incidents is locked up inside of us. And when we reach for our no to get it back, who is standing guard at the gate? All of that fear from the past. And we have to go through that fear, like when I confronted Bob and gave him the big no. I had to push my way through that fear. I knew if I backed down, I would be backing down for the rest of my life. And that just wasn't acceptable for me. So, it's very scary and painful to recover our no, but it's absolutely necessary if we want to have closely connected, intimate, supportive, authentic, genuine, deep connections with people. There's no way around it. And the thing is, that's what we all want. Maybe we want it secretly in our heart of hearts. Maybe we are not even aware of it anymore because we have some layers of armor on top of it. But we all want that connection with love because that's who we really are underneath the armor. We want ourselves and we want others, the real others. Not the mask, not the armor, not all the games we play, but the real person in our partner, in our children, in our boss, coworkers, family. We want each other, the real us. And we can have it. We just have to be willing to go through the smoke and mirrors that stops us. And a lot of people won't go through that. It's too scary. They're going to try to get out of here, out of this earth, without ever facing that one. Let's say, I'm just going to try to get along, yeah, my relationship is unfulfilling. We don't really talk to each other anymore. We don't have sex anymore. There's no more spark. But, it's financially secure, and they make a killer pot of soup or whatever it is. We trade it in, We trade in the real thing, and we settle, and we go through the rest of our lives that way, with this longing inside that never gets met. We don't have to do that. So that's what the purpose of this video is. I want to reawaken that spark. Like it's been reawakened in me, and like I challenge myself to keep it awake. Recovering our no, when we start to do that, it's going to feel bad. It's going to feel scary. Even more than that, it's going to feel like we're doing something really wrong. If we've lost touch with our no, then when we start to reuse it again, it's going to feel like we're breaking some rule that's built into the fabric of reality, and we're violating it, and something really bad's going to happen if we do it. That's all conditioning. That's behind our eyes. It's not in front of our eyes. It's not out there. I mean, granted, some people aren't going to accept us if we start saying no to them, and that's a sign that we gotta go. That's a sign that relationship is toxic, and we gotta go. And that can be heartbreaking. That's a whole nother thing right there. We might have to give up a crutch, but we won't have to give up true love, because true love wants us to say no, wants us to be safe and authentic. So sometimes we have to give up a crutch relationship, or 2 or 3. If our whole family's entrenched in this, we might have some difficulty with them. That's just going to be part of our journey. And granted, it's not easy, but we have to recover it. And that feeling of something is wrong is not real. It's smoke and mirrors. It's an illusion. And it only lasts a short while. When we push ourselves through it, then the next time we have to say no, it's a little easier. And then the next time after that, it's even easier. And then the more we do it, the more we find, like, God, not only is this not dangerous, it's liberating. I feel so much more real with myself, and I feel so much more relaxed around other people, because I'm not doing this tap dance trying to please them all the time. And everyone who loves me accepts me this way. Maybe they're even rejoicing. Trust me, there's going to be people who rejoice at this. All right. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Around the word no. So small, so simple, and yet absolutely indispensable.